Today I'm going to show you how to find and fix a jet leak on your hot tub. And there's different ways to go about it. Obviously the first thing you want to try is just get a bottle of Fix-A-Leak, pour that in like right when you're about to empty your tub, let it run for a week without the filter in, and see if that fixes it. We tried that on this hot tub and it actually fixed the leak for about 3 weeks, and then it started leaking again. So at that point what I did is I let the hot tub just naturally drain down to the point where it stopped leaking, and it stopped leaking right around that second to the bottom set of jets down there. But I'll show you in a minute, it actually turned out to be the bottom 2 jets there. But that took a good 3 months to get down to that point, and most people don't want to wait that long. So second method would be to go to each set of jets, open up your control panel or your covers, and look for wet spots. And I poked right through here with a screwdriver and it was just completely soaked. Like all this stuff was just like soaked with the water. And when it's soaked with water, it just pulls right out. I just grabbed it with my hand and I kept pulling and pulling and pulling, and just followed the wet spot back to these bottom 2 jets. So it wasn't actually as intimidating as I thought it would be, because you know this stuff is pretty gnarly to deal with when it's hard and dry, but apparently when it's wet it just comes right out. So I was able to pull all this out with my hand. I just followed the wet spot. I had the hot tub running hot with water, and it was actually warm water, and I could feel it at each one of these jets. And I'll show you in a minute here why it's leaking. But if you aren't sure which set of jets it is, what you can do is open up your access covers and go to your lowest jet point and just cut a slot. Just cut a slot about 2 inches wide. Cut a slot pretty far back. Use a dull knife or a butter knife or something that's not going to cut your tubing. You don't want to make a leak where you don't have one. But if you have a slot at each one of your jet banks at the bottommost point, you can actually feel the foam up above it, and you can see water leaking through that slot. So you can just stick your hand in there at any time and fill that slot, and then you can fill that slot when you're not evaluating it. Fill it up with some normal fiberglass insulation. So that's a really good way to kind of have an access port at each one of your jet banks. But like I said, on this one, I just followed the wet spot. So let me show you what I found here. I don't know how good of a shot that is. I found that the best tool for this job is actually a smooth or flat pipe wrench. If you don't have that, you could probably use a normal pipe wrench also, but I just happen to have a nice smooth jawed pipe wrench, and it worked perfectly for getting in those tight spaces. So let me show you what I found here. These were actually completely loose, and I've read that they only tighten these to 5 foot-pounds at the factory, and if you consider heat and contraction and expansion over the years, it's a no-brainer. At 5 foot-pounds, they're all gonna leak. I'm surprised all the jets aren't leaking. As loose as these were, I could practically turn it by hand. Now, if you just wanted to try a quick fix, you could just try tightening it, and I was going to do that, but since I have pretty good access here, I'm going to go ahead and reseal it. I mean, that's the most long-term and best way to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this nut all the way off. And I'll show you what we're looking at on the inside. Pulling it all the way off will let you know if you've got a cracked jet also. As long as you can get in there good with some sort of a tool. I know they make a special tool that they use at the factory for putting these on, but this thing actually works really well. Alright. You got a good view there of the back side of the jet. That's all it's sealing. You can actually see they put a little, looks like a PVC or a nylon insert there. That's fiberglassed into the tub, and it's just a hole. They didn't put any sealant on it or anything. And they only tightened it to 5 foot-pounds. Come to the front side here. So basically, get it to focus. The only thing sealing is that rubber gasket there. No silicone, no adhesive, nothing. Just that one seal. So we're gonna go ahead and reseal it. Best thing to use is gonna be like a Boss 802 sealant specifically designed for pools and hot tubs. It's an acetoxy base. I think that means it has acetic acid in it. I'm not sure it's anything special, but I'll put a link right up here in the corner and down in the description below to where you can get it pretty cheap on Amazon. So today I'm just going to use some RTV because I don't have time to wait for Amazon to ship. But if you're getting ready to tackle this job, go ahead and order the right stuff. Get this to focus there. Kind of an awkward angle. If you did have any kind of silicone or sealant on here, you'd want to scrape and clean all that off and clean it real good with some solvent-based cleaner like acetone, or maybe something more mild like rubbing alcohol. That seal is actually coming apart. All those years of bromine and chlorine degrading that seal, no wonder it leaked, especially considering it was only hand tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just apply a bead around the outside. Kind of an awkward angle there. Do it by hand.